Good morning. This is George Kahn, and this is today's Quiet Echo. The tell is never the conversation. The tell is the order. There is a man who has come to my counter on Fridays for 11 years now. Half a pound of roast beef, sliced thin, and a quarter pound of the good Swiss. Every Friday for 11 years. And then one Friday this spring he asked me for a quarter pound of the beef and no cheese at all. And he made a little joke about his doctor and his cholesterol. And he laughed. And I laughed right along with him. And we both knew exactly what had happened. Neither of us said one word about it. It is not how we do things here. I have stood behind this counter for 31 years. And I will tell you something. I know when a family in this town is in trouble long before the neighbors do, and a good long while before anybody prints a word about it anywhere. Because I can see it right there in the paper on the scale. A deli counter is a strange sort of confessional. Nobody confesses anything, but the arithmetic is right there in front of you, every week, in a man's own handwriting, so to speak. The good ham quietly becomes the cheap ham. The pound becomes the half pound. Friday becomes every other Friday, and then one week the man simply does not come in at all. And he does not come the week after. And when he finally does come back, he is very, very cheerful about how terribly busy he has been. Nobody ever says the true thing. Not once, in 31 years behind this counter, has a single person looked at me and said, "George, I cannot afford it this week." They say they are cutting back. They say they are watching their weight. They say the wife has put them on some new diet. They make their small joke, and they pay. And they carry the smaller package out to the truck. Now, here is what the news will tell you this summer. Beef costs nearly 13% more than it did a year ago. The cattle herd in this country is the smallest it has been in 75 years. And groceries, in survey after survey, are now the thing Americans say they worry about first. Ahead of the rent, ahead of the gas. And I will tell you plainly, and I want to be clear about it, I do not know why the beef costs what it costs. I am not a cattleman, and I am not an economist, and I have no opinion worth 1 minute of your time about whose fault any of it might be. I only know what it looks like when it finally arrives at my counter. It arrives dressed up as embarrassment, and it is the thing all the surveys in the world will never catch. In a town this size, being short of money is not a statistic. It is a thing you hide. You hide it from the people who know your name, from the woman down at the bank who is in your daughter's class, from the man slicing your ham. Hardship, in a small town, puts on a clean shirt and makes a joke about its cholesterol. And I want to say something to the people doing the joking, because I know some of you are listening. I have never once thought less of a man for a smaller order. Not once. I have thought a great deal more of him for standing there so straight while he made it. My mother, who opened this deli with nothing at all, understood it long before I ever did. And she never once, in her life, offered a person charity across this counter. I asked her why, when I was young and very sure of myself. And she looked at me as though I had learned nothing whatsoever. Because, she said, you would be handing him his shame. In front of the whole store. And she was right. I have thought about it for 40 years, and she was right. There is a kind of help which costs a man more than it gives him, and my mother could smell it coming a mile away. So let me tell you how she did it instead. And how I do it now. The scale runs just a little heavy on a Friday. The end of the roast, the piece nobody ever buys, is only going to go to waste, and would he mind taking it off my hands? A sandwich arrives with a soup he never ordered, and I am terribly sorry, but we have made far too much again today. It is a small dishonesty, and it is the very kindest sort there is, because it lets a man walk out of my store with his dinner and his dignity, both, and only one of those two things can ever be bought back. And if you are the one buying less this summer, then please hear me. There is no shame at all in the smaller package. I have been nearer the edge myself than anybody in this town knows. Take the soup. Take the heel of the roast. It is going begging anyway, and the man offering it to you has been exactly where you are standing, and he remembers it every single day of his life. So here is what I would ask of you this week. Somebody near you is quietly buying less, and you already know exactly who it is. Do not offer them money. And do not ask them how they are managing, because they will lie to you, and you will have made them lie. Just make far too much for supper. Call them up and tell them you cannot possibly eat it all, and would they do you a favor and help you out. Send the extra home with them, and then never mention it again, as long as you live. Feed them, and never let them know they were fed. The front porch is open. Has somebody ever fed you without letting on? Come and tell us. And if they get something wrong, tell us, and we will run the correction. The readers of the Cedar Valley News are gathering to share their stories and keep company with respect and no party lines. Come sit with us. I will put the link in the show notes. This is George Kahn, your host for today's Quiet Echo. Thanks for listening. Quiet Echo is part of the fictional Cedar Valley News series, written by Evan Swenson, publisher, and Claude Marshall, AI developmental editor. While the people and town of Cedar Valley are fictional, the beef prices cited here, and the American cattle herd standing at its lowest level in roughly 75 years, are real, per the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Economic Research Service.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time, keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open. This is Cedar Valley News.